welcome to Montreal.
Thank you.
And this tour is to celebrate the album Hot House, which celebrates the 40th anniversary of your duo with Gary Burton.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm curious if you could speak about what draws you back to Gary's sound and what draws you back to that collaboration.
Well, you know, ever since Gary and I met and started playing together in '71, it's been kind of an easy musical rapport. We have fun, we get together. It's unusual because there's no drums and bass. At first it was really unusual because it was, I had never made a lot of music in an ensemble without a rhythm section. But there was an openness about it that I liked. And of course the main thing was that us playing together musically just started gelling. Things started working and the communication was real smooth, and it's continued like that through the years.
And that's something you've done since '71, I feel like is kind of a hallmark of your career, is you've done a lot of duo with other chordal instruments, with other piano players, with Gary obviously. Is that a particular challenge that you like to dive into?
Well, I guess since that time I found that working in, with just duet is very intimate. And there's something special about it. There are things that you can get to, open spaces that you can leave for one another and create that are special, you know. So if there's another musician that I really like to learn from and get inspired by, like Herbie Hancock, or Bela Fleck, or Bobby McFerrin is one of my favorites, and then there's a lot that can come from just a duet.
And for each project with Gary, the repertoire is always very different from one album to the next. What's the process of selecting the repertoire or writing for that duo?
Well, since the beginning, one of the elements of the duet that I enjoyed, and I think Gary enjoys, in fact I'm sure he enjoys it, he tells me that he does, is me writing for the duet. I write music for the duet, and like in Hot House, in the new recording, I took the standards that we chose and I arranged them for the duet. And it's something I love to do. I most often consider myself a composer first and a pianist second, because I like it so much. So that's an additional creative, fun thing for me with the duet, and it seems to work.
You've augmented the duet with the Harlem String Quartet for this run, this album. How did you come to the Harlem String Quartet? How did you encounter them?
Let's see. 5 years ago, I was commissioned to write a string quartet for the Orion String Quartet, and I wrote a 5-movement work called The Adventures of Hippocrates. And the premiere was fun, and the Orion played it great. And so then years later, a couple of years later, I received an award from the Chamber Music Society of America in New York. And one of the events was a night at Symphony Space in New York, where a lot of musicians, mostly friends of mine, guys that I knew, got together and put together a program of my music, my compositions, and there was 2 hours of my music being played by these great musicians. And the surprise of the evening was the Harlem String Quartet walked out on stage. I had never seen them before, and they played 2 movements from this string quartet. And they quite blew me away with the way they approached the music without having spoken to me at all. And at that point I thought, gee, I'd like to work with them some.
And apparently I've been reading there's a whole other album's worth of material for the string quartet.
Well, in '83 or so, Gary and I recorded a recording for ECM Records called The Lyric Suite for Sextet. And it was my first attempt to write for the duet plus a string quartet. It was a great quartet with Ida Kavafian and Fred Sherry playing in it. And we toured, I think we must have played about 60 concerts around the world and made that recording. So we drew some of the arrangements for this tour from that lyric suite, plus another arrangement I wrote for piano and string quartet of Round Midnight that I adapted for the sextet. And the one piece that was recorded on the new recording, Hot House, called Mozart Goes Dancing, for the string quartet.
And a lot of your writing for chamber music or orchestra even seems to go back to Mozart. I know the piano concerto was commissioned by a Mozart festival, right?
That's right, yeah, it was.
So what do you feel the link is between Mozart and the work that you're doing?
Well, that one piece that I wrote called Mozart Goes Dancing was just an idea I had to take the harmonic progression that Mozart uses in his, well, he uses it a lot in various pieces that he wrote, but in the D minor piano concerto number 20, he uses this kind of a progression like that, and then I augmented it and put some other stuff in, and then put a dance rhythm to it. So it was just a fun thing to do, but it came out real nice.
I heard through the rumor mill that you're in the process of writing new music for a new band.
That's true. Yeah, I'm putting a new band together for 2013.
Any details that you can share about that?
Well, it's in the incubation process right now, the new band. I have several pieces written. I have an idea of a direction I want to go, but the real personality of the band won't take shape until, of course, the musicians arrive and start playing the music and interpreting it. But it's going to be a quartet or a quintet, Yeah, I might eventually add a percussionist to the band. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't had my own band in that way since, I guess, Origin, which is about 10 years ago.
What are you listening to these days?
The music I'm listening to? I listen to a lot of different things. Let's see, what am I listening to? It's all on here. I do a lot of listening just to review music. Like for instance, a favorite recording of mine. I was just listening on the plane to a recording that Etzel Gomez did, 8 years ago or so, the great Brazilian pianist, called Cubist Music. It's one of my favorite records. And I called him the other day and invited him to participate in a week of what they're calling curation that I'm doing at the Jazz at Lincoln Center. And Etzel's band is going to be one of the bands that plays there. So I was listening to that. You know, I always, I keep on my iPad, on my iPhone, one way or the other, various selections of John Coltrane's music. Coltrane is a real touchstone of spiritual inspiration to me, always has been. Miles, too. I always connect with some Miles Davis. I've got some of, I came across my friend Peter Serkin, the great classical pianist, the other day, and he sent me some live recordings that he did of Schoenberg's music and Messiaen's music that I'm listening to. I listen to everything. I listen to all kinds of things.